So for today's adventure, we're on the Dog Mountain Trail, climbing up to Dog Mountain in the Columbia River Gorge, just east of Stevenson, Washington. It should be a fairly relentless uphill climb today, about 7 miles round trip, and somewhere around 2,800 feet of elevation gain. The hike up should just be kind of a relentless climb. We're going to plan on making a loop hike out of this by taking the Dog Mountain Trail up to Dog Mountain, and then the plan is to return back to the same parking lot via the Augspurger Trail, forming a nice loop hike. So again, a relentless uphill climb, Columbia River Gorge. Hopefully we'll get wildflowers today. So right at 0.8 of a mile, we get to make our decision between going to the right for the difficult approach, a longer distance, or to the left, more difficult, so a shorter approach but a bigger climb. So our choice today, of course, is going to choose more difficult but shorter. About 1.5 miles in, we've hit a short reprieve from the relentless climb. The trail so far has earned its difficulty rating of very difficult in all trails. We have another big climb coming up here in a few minutes. So anyways, you can see 1.5 miles in, we're still in timber. I know people come here for the wildflower walk, but it is a fairly long walk with a lot of elevation gain before you ever get to the wildflowers. So 2.1 miles. Got a little junction here, and the sign indicating Dog Mountain is 1 mile. As we continue to the left. So here we are 2.5 miles up the Dog Mountain Trail and over 2,200 feet of elevation gain, and we're finally breaking out of the large timber and arriving at the wildflower views for which this trail is so famous. So 2.5 mile uphill slog to get to the views. So that's something to be aware of. You're not going to be in wildflowers until you've done quite a bit of work. So very unlike the Wenatchee Sage Hill hike where you're in flowers right out of the trailhead. So 2.5 miles uphill. Definitely a difficult walk. And windy as heck, almost too windy for the gimbal to handle it. So 2.9 miles. We're at the intersection with the trail up to the summit, the little spur trail that takes you to the summit, and Augspurger's trail heads off that way, and that's the way that we'll hike out. So first, spur trail up to the Dog Mountain summit, and then the Augspurger trail will give us a big loop that takes us all the way back to the parking lot. And it's anticlimactic. Here's the summit with a stack of rocks on a route. So, do you need to go all the way to the summit? Nah. There's an open area just before the summit. It's probably a good place to stop. A little over 3.3 miles in now, and we're just headed down the Augspurger Trail to head back to the parking lot. The reward is going to be a nice downhill hike. been a cool spring, so June 3rd today, and I think the balsam root's in peak bloom right now. And 3.7 miles of hiking, and we're back into the Doug Fir Forest. So 5 miles in, and we're still winding our way down back to the trailhead through Doug Fir Forest. So you get about a mile and a half of views at the top, mile and a half of wildflower hiking, and a bunch of miles of forest hiking. That's pretty. Getting close to the bottom now. So almost back to the parking lot. I'm going to call Dog Mountain in the bag. I'm going to wrap this up before I get down to the parking lot where all the road noise is. The wildflowers were fabulous as advertised. So they looked every bit as good as they do in the pictures that you see on the internet. So the only thing to be aware of, and I knew it before I did it, but it's a big hike before you ever get up to the wildflowers. You're doing a forest walk, a lot of elevation gain, so you really have to earn the views on this one. It was some work, but definitely worth it. Just don't expect to go fast. Anyways, get outside.